We're in Mount Vernon, Missouri.
Mount Vernon, Missouri. I just got off the plane about 15 minutes ago. We're gonna go inside and see what this is all about. Those are Canadian night crawlers. How'd they get down here?
I guess they escaped.
Hey fellas, can you say A?
I wonder if they're actually from Canada. I don't know.
It's a good selling.
We went on a bit of an adventure today to a place, cool place. And it turns out there's a few people there in side by side, so I didn't get to do any filming. But they start pouring rain on the way home, and I'm like, ah, shit, because I want to go down to somewhere and do some of this. And just came down here, and there's no rain. Crazy. And the river is so pristine and frickin' perfect right now. It is so frustrating because it's such a perfect, pristine river, and it is perfectly ruined in a way. The fishing is so poor. It's just so sad. Hatcheries shut down. Hatcheries shut down, cost too much money, but our government wants to put $50 billion into killing people in the Ukraine. It's amazing. God, the wrong people are in charge of many things today. It's very, very, very frustrating to watch. This river behind me should be teeming with fish. I must have thrown the camera down this river about, I don't know, I'd say probably at least 150 different casts with the camera alone, and I think I only had 2 steelhead on the camera out of all that. A couple trout. It's so sad. So frustrating for me. But anyway, maybe one day the good people get all those power-monging money wasting monsters out of the positions that they're in. The good people could do so many good things to this planet. Anyway, let's see what we got. All right, what's this? Mark, this is red. All right, listen to this one, you guys. Hopefully I sit still enough for this camera. It's attached to the gun rack on a little bit of a GoPro arm. This is actually my first experience with Sasquatches. 1995 heli portable 3D gas and oil exploration job. Ram Rivers, west of Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. Steve, my experience. Think of 25-kilometer long, 6-foot wide hand cuts with power saws, running east to west every 300 to 600 meters apart, and there are 50 lines to cut. Now imagine the same running north to south. That, my new amazing family, is a 3D gas and oil exploration project in the mountains. This would be the day of a crew. There is a lead faller / hand cutter and 2 other power saw hands cutting up the trees that were cut down, then stumping and cleaning up the hand cut so it was clean for the next crew. And at the end of the day, we'd have to cut out a helicopter pad big enough for a 212 chopper. I had a hot shot crew. Say that 10 times as fast as you can. Hot shot crew, hot shot crew. If there were lines deemed impassable, I was one of the guys they would hire to get the job done. We were 1 week into the job. The crew that was cutting a line next to us was getting harassed and growled at. At the end of the day, when they were cutting out their helicopter pad, the next day the crew got scared by whatever it was and flown out of there. I met one of the guys of that crew before he quit. He said they're supposed to say it was a grizzly. Then he said, as if a bear can throw rocks at you. Anyway, 2 weeks after that incident, my crew got asked to go finish that line. We were flown into the line, and it was my day to set liners. We do that to keep the hand cut straight. Then I clean up the hand cut, pack the lunches, and pack the gas. We got about 200, 300 meters, and I was setting up a liner. Then I seen something black to my right moving fast. It was up on 2 legs, and leaning forwards, and then it dropped on all fours. Then it went behind an alder tree mixed with willows. I couldn't tell what it was. I thought it was a huge bear. It charged me on my left side, but bluffed. It turned on a dime, but it looked like it stood up, turned near the drop down, then ran back to that alder. It was opened up on the right side of the alder patch, so when it ran to the right, I noticed it had long legs. It turned and faced me and charged again. I had one can of bear spray out and was digging to the bottom of the pack sack to get to the other can of bear spray. This time when it bluffed me, it held its ground. I started backing up where Nelly was and tapped on his shoulder. He turned around now and saw it. He held up his saw and was revving it up. As we moved to Emer and we got his attention, they stayed there and ran up and got Keith and went back to the guys. And we went back to the guys. The guys had their saws held up and revving them up too. I had both cans of bear spray out and it was backing us. I had both cans of bear spray out and it was backing us, but it kept charging and bluffing. The helicopter was still out dropping off crews, so I called the chopper in to scare it off. So Emer and Keith got out their cameras and moved in closer to this pissed off thing and got a few pictures. That is when this pissed off thing went behind an alder tree, whacking it at the bottom with so much force that the tree flipped, bottom side up and top in the root hole. I freaking yelled at them to get the F out of there because the chopper was almost there. The helicopter hovers just above the tops and the trees were swaying. Then all four of us see these two cubs climbing down a tree. That was between us and the beast. The cubs had to be yearlings. All three of them ran off to the south and were gone. The beast had long limbs, black shiny fur, but Keith insisted it was hair. The ears were covered in fur or hair and looked human. And it was running like a primate. I'm sure we have all seen how great apes run, and they will push up and run on two legs, then drop back down. That's what this was doing. It was intelligent. The attack was intelligent. The whole incident lasted about 15 minutes. 15 minutes is 16 lifetimes in that kind of an incident. That whole time, we never got a good look at it. It was moving too fast, and when it would rest, it would just go out of our line of sight. We just went back to work after that and eventually finished the hand cut 8 days later at the second Ram River. Emer and Keith are now passed on. Emer and Keith are now passed on. Rest in peace, my brothers, Barry, Allen, Ferguson. Holy shit, Barry. Okay, well, I'll be the first one to say it because it's probably going to be said in the comment section below 5 million times. Where's the pictures? Did these guys get them? I'm not going to be the only one. Anybody would be asking how the pictures turn out, what they look like. Is sadly your friends have passed on. I hope it wasn't due to a work accident. But that is one hell of a story. One hell of an experience. And that, I'm surprised you even went back to go finish that cut, man. Crazy. I wonder if you heard much more after that within all of your crew members. I mean, that's not a secret to keep after that many guys have that experience, and the helicopter had to come back and get you. And it was the second crew that the helicopter had to get directly due to that being, right? So I wonder how many of those people who were involved in that incident are on this channel watching this right now. I got a funny feeling somebody's going to be watching. But anyway, it would be interesting if those photographs were in existence today. I'm sure everybody wants to see them, right? All right, now what do we got here? This is titled Bigfoot Encounter. I seem to have had some close calls over the years, growing up in a few different places. I, being a non-believer somewhat, I'm from the state of Maine and part Native American, Penobscot tribe. We had legions of Guacu, one who eats a lot. We had a camp in beer and VT. I was in the kitchen one night talking like we always did about 11 at night. I saw a face looking in the kitchen window at me. I could see the kitchen light shining up his face. I thought, well, I'm seeing things. So I look a little closer. As I get closer to the window, it looked in my eyes and backed away from the window. And I said to my parents and brother, I'm seeing things, and laughed. My mom said, what do you see? I said, it looked like Bigfoot. I could draw him, but I convinced myself that my brain tried to make something out of nothing. We all laughed at me, including me. Mom, being a full-blood, said, you never know what's in the woods at night. So after a half hour, I had to go out to the outhouse. I opened the door to go outside. Before I could step off the porch, I heard a bear. It sounded huge. Never heard them grunt. So fast, I jumped back. I never heard them grunt. So fast, I jumped back in the door, waited an hour and tried again. The coast was clear. So the next morning, my brother and I took the Florida up the mountain right behind the cabin. Took to Florida. Maybe he meant Ford. Up the mountain right behind the cabin. Went about 100 feet up the hill, and there was a huge footprints that went straight up from where the kitchen window was located. We looked at each other and went flying down that hill, stumbling all over each other, crashing into trees like a comedy skit. It freaked us out, LOL. Never been so scared in our lives. It had huge strides going up the hill. It's pretty steep. I'm 6'7", and I can't step like that in level ground, never mind going uphill. So my brother decided to see how tall it may have been. The window it looked in was higher than my head. The bottom of the window was almost 7 feet high. Its eyes were about in the middle of the window. We figured it must have stood about 8'6", give or take a couple inches. I think when I went outside that night, it grunted at me and took off up the hill. When I jumped back into the camp, the screen door makes a loud slam. I guess it or I spooked it. I'll never forget it. That was in 1977, and I was 17 years old. My brother regrets laughing at me at the time. When we saw the track, we both knew. It was slow motion trying to get down off the mountain. Never went back up the hill after that, but still fished the stream, armed for bear. Now, years later, I've watched a lot of them shows, and growing up in the Maine woods, I've heard the wood knocks, the whistles, and the screams, but always thought it was a sick wild cat or a moose. Now it makes me wonder. Well, now you've been face to face with one and seen the tracks. There you go. Welcome to the club of no return, and there's no leaving once you're there. It's endless. Here's another one. Hey Steve, Sean Reed again here. You wanted some more information / stories, so here it / they are. These experiences are from my relatives, a nephew and a niece, and all occurred within 1.5 miles of my house, closest being just a few hundred feet. My niece's story began with a nighttime walk on a trail through the woods from her mother's house to hers. Now I know this story is not your typical Sasquatch story, but I'm sure it'll help somebody out there. As my niece got about halfway home, something was following her, just inside the woods to her right. It didn't keep itself hidden for long. She spotted it fairly quickly, and the sight of it made her cry. Excuse me. Even while telling about it. It had a human body with a deer's head, antlers, and all. She tried to distance herself from it, but it followed her everywhere, staying just inside the woods the whole time. It messed with her like this for a few minutes, then just walked off, going deeper into the woods. My nephew's story took place in a field right next to the road, just 200 yards from my house. He and a friend of his, both in their 20s, were shining up a field one summer just a few years back, looking to find any type of animal to look at. They flashed the light back and forth in the field and stopped it on something big on all fours. The animal looked like it had its head down, eating something. They watched for a little bit, and after a few seconds, something caught its attention, and it turned to look right at them. After locking onto them, it started to run. It started to turn and stand up on 2 legs at the same time. Now they were able to get a good look at it. My nephew said it was about 9 to 10 feet tall, had 4 to 5 inches of black hair on its arms, and varying lengths covering its entire body. He figured it weighed right around 1,000 pounds or more, and had piercing red eyes that made him instantly think demon. After a few seconds, it started charging them. They turned instantly and started to run towards a friend's house, which was about 100 yards away. As they ran, they could feel every footfall of it as it chased them. After about 100 feet, it stopped, and after what I'm sure seemed like a mile, they made it to the house. Well, Steve, I wish I could have been a better version of the experiences, but it's hard to tell someone else's story. I hope you and your growing family are all okay. If you're ever on the coast of Maine, look me up in Friendship. Yeah, that's the name of my town. And we'll have enough lobster to make you hurl. God bless. God bless you too, Sean. Thanks for that share, man. And make sure you keep them coming as they come to you, all right? If it's going to help somebody, for sure. What's this one? Greetings, Steve and family. I emailed it. Oh, sorry. I want to comment on that one more second. So we had a very informative email a while back. Remember, they said the colors of the eyes and the mood, the demeanor of what's going on behind the color of the eyes, and we've been told, I think fairly with a lot of confidence, that red eyes is anger. Go figure. So that one had red eyes and it charged at them. So that seems to fit with what we were told earlier, right? Note taken. This one's titled Cliff Face Stalker. Greetings, Steve and family. I emailed in a different story of my second encounter with these people, Yeti healing. This is one I promised because it was 2019 in Mason County, Hamahama River, Washington State, USA. I had just spent a butt ton of money on an old Blazer 4x4. Wanted to try her out up in the snow in the mountains. It was springtime and the snow was still heavy the further you go up. Well, I pushed forwards into the snow after engaging the 4x4. A few minutes in, the 4x4 stops and leaves me in the icy snow. Of course it did. I processed reversing in the tracks right around the corner. The ice caught the rear tires and I slid into the ditch. Thank the gods I didn't slip off down to the river. It was late in the day, so I didn't spend much time trying to get her out. I decided to lock her up, grab my survival bag, and head down the mountain. 2 minutes in my walk out, I hear something below me on the cliff wall. 2 minutes into my walk out, I hear something below me on the cliff wall, trailing my movements. Did not sound like a big cat, although there are tons up here. Did not sound like a black bear. I would have seen it. This was purposely hiding as I looked over the edge. This sent chills up my spine. A wave of fear came over me. I picked my pace up and began to sing out loud. An hour after this, a truck comes racing past me, ignoring my pleas. That's not too cool. For the best, I'm sure. I do not want to have to make camp up there, so I ran as much as possible. Thank the gods, a small car comes up with two young girls from the city in yoga gear. That's random. They asked if I needed help. I asked to be taken to the 101, and I could get back to my boat at the harbor from there. They ended up taking me all the way home and learned that coming up to the mountains without being prepared for survival mode is unwise. I told them about why I looked so fearful, and they both would hear none of it. At least I told them. Now they know, and it just may save them one day. Thanks, Steve, for this awesome place to testify our experience with these people. The story I sent about the Yeti healing is a doozy. Pamela Collins, raised in the USA South Carolina, and now reside in Washington State on the Hood Canal. Pamela, be careful out there, all right? 4x4ing in the middle of nowhere and getting stuck and being female alone is possibly a very bad recipe, all right? And when you said that thing was hiding from you over the cliff edge, I wonder if you left out that you might have seen a piece of it, possibly, maybe. I don't know. But that is one thing that is alarming, especially if you're familiar with wildlife. Nothing intentionally hides like that. I mean, sure, there's a lot of whitetail that'll duck down and hide, but when something's real close to you and you're going like this and it's going around and keeping the tree in between you or the bush or whatever, that's alarming as hell. Nothing does that. Anyway, kind of reminds me, I remember that hitchhiking part. I remember I used to guide up this one valley in the northern Rocky Mountains, way up in the middle of nowhere. And we get dropped off about an hour drive away from the main ranch with horse trailers, booted out in the Side Alaska Highway, saddle up, pack the horses up, and off we go. And we would ride anywhere from a day to 2 days straight to get to where we were going on horseback, and then we'd hunt. And then one time we come out early And we didn't have satellite phones then. We used to have a radio, like a two-way radio. You'd have to climb up to a certain mountain peak at some camps, and the radio would actually reach the ranch house. Anyways, had no radio, had nothing. So we tied up all the horses just inside the timber, and I go out and I start hitchhiking on the Alaska Highway in the middle of nowhere. And the amount of vehicles that just blew by me were ridiculous. I remember thinking to myself, holy shit, do I look like that much of an axe murderer? I guess you can't really blame people. Then some guys I knew picked me up in their pickup truck. I jumped in the back and drove me to Toad River. And I hit the coffee shop there, and I know the people working in there and the owners. And I'm like, man, I didn't believe how many frickin' people drove by me. Middle of frickin' nowhere. Can you believe that? And it was funny. There's a family right there. I guess they're on the way to Alaska. And I guess the woman felt bad. She goes, well, we didn't know. And she started backpedaling and feeling all guilty they didn't pick me up. I'm like, hey, it's okay. I understand. I wouldn't have picked me up either in the middle of nowhere like this. Imagine what I must have looked like. Greasy cowboy hat on, oilskin jacket, hadn't shaved forever, covered in shit. But anyway, sorry about that ramble. Let's get on with it. More important things to hear than me babbling about silly shit. All right. This is titled, You Asked Me to Email Back. Here we go. All right. So, I left off my last email that Steve said, for those of you who have had mine speak to the Sabe, please ask, who is hunting you? Yes, I have. And nobody's given me a straight answer yet. This is about a year ago, and Steve, you mentioned asking this a few times back then. I thought, let me give this a try. Since Fort Lewis is in my backyard, and for some reason, others we can't physically see have no issues with being around me. The last line of that email, my life has been changed forever. Many of you asked me to write back and wanted to hear what happened. Here is some from the beginning. So I will tell you the answers they sent. Let me tell you what happened the first nights. To do this, I prayed first. I did not want any negative or hate, only the love and light, and those that know and follow the love of our Creator to reach out. Also, I don't suggest anyone does this. It really has changed my life, and you must have strength. Tons. Oh yes, I should mention, in my life, I now have to bless my home by a prayer every so often. Once you reach out into the spirit world, you have to be strong. To just like in life, make sure the assholes... Oh, you have to be strong, too, just like in life. Make sure the assholes don't enter your life. So I send this out. 3 a.m. for the next 2 nights. I do go out to my porch and I hear what sounds like tons of birds waking up. This doesn't usually happen in the pitch dark. Plus, they didn't sound like any birds I've ever heard. From that question I sent out after my prayer, I get back, don't trust. And about 60 seconds later, I get back, military. I'm so proud of my own grandfathers who served in the service. I still do praise those who fight for our freedoms, but that is the answer I got back. Besides the non-existent birds in the dark, I noticed 2 trees nearest my apartment broken, a few 6-inch in diameter, high-up branches, arranged in a way that it made on each of these trees have an extremely black areas with branches twisted and pushed together. These were not like this days before. And no storms came through. If a person was laying in there, it would now be camouflaged. I still have no idea how an 800-pound could lay there, but I have learned more on this lately. I asked about this on my 3rd day and heard gateway. That had me thinking, could some of the areas people run into the woods with wood bends, gateway areas? Does it help them travel? So now I'm looking over my shoulder, not saying anything to anyone. They would think I'm crazy. Within this week, I go for my walk with my son in town. Small nature walk, and we stopped at a bench looking at the pond we're at. I, like my mother taught me, I start picking up the garbage around this small area. She always said, if you can, why not help our Mother Earth from the rude people who don't use a garbage can? So, we're chatting, and there is a muddy and sandy beer can I couldn't quite reach. So deep down, I was like, dang, I can't get it all. In my thoughts only. We walk out. I throw out the trash I grabbed on our walk. We took our separate cars home, and I looked down on my floorboard, and there's the muddy, dusty can I could not reach. That'd be a little alarming. I go for a walk with my daughter weeks later, upset I cannot find my phone anywhere, and I needed it for medical calls, something very stressful. Because of the beer can accident, I did in my mind think, well, if you guys are around, I really need that phone for my daughter's doctor call. We go on the walk, we get home, and somehow my phone, along with my 2 little hairpins, are sitting right out on a chair. I usually find the hairpins when I'm vacuuming kicked up under my couch. I think my cell must have been under there as well. I cannot tell people this who would believe me. So much more has happened since then. In my mind, showed them where we would be camping this summer. Guess we visited 2 nights in a row, and that's a story in itself. Because I prayed to know the truth, I believe I have a small family. They have taken food left out, moved the rocks to different shapes, left small items to show they are real, and yes, they can go into and out of the spirit world. So can we as humans, to a point, but we just are taught not think. Work a job, pay bills, repeat. Sucked into this world we have let be created this way. No shit. It is kind of a silly one, isn't it? I study near-death experiences constantly, and the ancient artifacts finds that contradict so many things we have been taught. Why have we forgotten our history? Purposely, this is happening to us. I can tell you why some get these horrible experiences with some sabe. I am sorry for those who have PTSD. It never had happened this way. I have gained so much knowledge, but what should I do with it? Steve, they believe in you. You're honest about the good and bad. They are simply trying to show you. They're simply trying to show you are telling the truth, and when they throw a rock behind you, there is so much more to our world. My life is different every day. Some of the things that have been happened right in front of my face, I could write about this too. It's unbelievable. Just how many times we are being warned away to save our lives. There are more than just us and the Sabe people. P.S. I've had rocks rearranged, feathers, things lost, placed around at... Sorry, one more time. P.S. I have had rocks rearranged, feathers, things lost, placed around the tweezers on top of all the fallen leaves you found. They are not made to be pissed at us. There's a few typos here. It's getting a little rough for me. Sorry, you guys. I'm trying. Do that sentence one more time. They are not made to be pissed at us. They just want us to grow up. Get with it. How many human people are just angry at everything and lie? They want a simple life. Wrong people are told, family would then be tracked and killed. They compare the young teens to our teens who push over a cow in the dark, or smashing mailboxes, acknowledging I know you are here, I mean no harm, I won't leave any mess, don't pee on trees or yell and scream, scaring the family. Jessica. Sorry, Jessica, I butchered that last paragraph. It's interesting. Sounds like you've cracked open a few windows or doors that most of us haven't, possibly. But if you want to share back with more, and if you think it's going to help the people, Jessica, please do it, all right? Please do it. All right, now what's this one? It's an artistic rendering. What's the title of this one? Hi, Steve, love the channel, brother. Keep up the good work. I don't really know why, but the other day I got the idea I should try to sketch what a sabe might look like, based upon some of the descriptions people have shared on the channel. If you think it might be close, please share it. But I understand if you think it looks a little too cartoonish. I tried to incorporate human features along with a wide face, beard with no mustache, and a bit of a conical head. If you do choose to share it, I'll be curious to hear what the others think about it. I don't know why it entered my mind to do this sketch, but it did have a strange, almost therapeutic effect doing it. Again, thank you for all you do. God bless you, Sarah, and all your family and friends. Donnie, Gettysburg, PA, USA. And there is the picture. It looks like you about nailed it. I would imagine. I haven't been face to face with one of these bush people myself yet, but it looks about correct from what everybody's described, doesn't it? Thanks again, man. Appreciate it. Doesn't look too cartoonish to me. All right, gonna keep going. This is titled My Story. Steve, fair warning. This may get a little long-winded, and I don't care if you use my name. I couldn't give a shit less about what other people think. A few months ago, you read an email about an incident in Anna, Texas that happened in the 30s. I live a few miles up the road from Anna, and we're pretty close to the Texas/Oklahoma border. I wonder if I went through there myself, because I remember we were hauling horses, a buddy of mine, we were at the stockyards in Texas, and I think we went north, I don't remember. And but we went to Oklahoma, and I remember vividly what the country looked like. It was pretty dry, actually, a little warm, but I think I might have been around there. Sorry about that. Along the highway coming north, there is a corridor of population. East and west of that corridor, it gets pretty western real quick. Farmland and forested areas, more forested going north to the Red River. I've done some research and was surprised at the number of incidents in my area, mostly in towns and areas north of me, specifically Lake Texoma and areas around it, heavily wooded and very few full-time residents. Summer of last year, sitting around the office shooting the shit with coworkers, a friend of mine mentioned taking a vacation with his wife and going hiking in a couple national parks. I made a comment about keeping alert and trying not to end up as a pile of Sasquatch shit. So, with that rabbit hole opened, off we went feet first. I explained to him about the clusters of missing people around national parks and David Plius's research in those cases. I also pointed him towards Scott Carpenter and you. Somewhere along the way, I pulled up a video on wood knocks and whooping, just to let him hear for himself. Along about the second or third whoop on a video, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I had heard that sound before. I stopped the video and told him that I heard them before. Honestly, I was stunned and didn't know what to do. The revelation came out of nowhere and rattled me for a couple minutes. Steve, I've seen ghosts in multiple places, including my damn living room. Shadow people, witches, graves, satanic worship sites, and caught glimpses of things we're probably not meant to see, but none of them bothered me as much as this did that day. It happened in the mid-'80s while I was in high school. A friend of mine, Jason F., and I used to spend a lot of time in a wooded area behind the neighborhood on the southeast side of town. Typical kid shit, fish in the creek, hunting each other with BB guns, and generally just kid shit. The day it happened, we had just wrapped up whatever we were doing and were heading out of the woods. Behind us, there was a long, slow whoop. Jason and I stopped, listened, and the whoop came again. I recall Jason looking nervous, and he said something about a monkey escaping from a circus or something, and that we should leave, like right after now. Get out of there. Jason's family had moved to Texas from somewhere up north, and he and his dad were outdoorsmen and hunters. Thinking it through as best as I can, considering the years, I'm relatively sure Jason knew exactly what made that sound, and it wasn't an epping monkey. It's probably best that he just got me out of there because my dumbass wanted to go find the monkey. I did a lot of stupid shit back then. Not sure I've gotten any better with the passing of time. I don't recall Jason and I ever going to that area again. Years later, my dad made a comment about Jason and I going into those woods. Do you remember the day that guy jumped out from behind a tree and scared the shit out of you? Steve, I don't recall that ever happening or saying anything like that. Steve, I did some serious researching about things that happened to me before and after that. Piecing my puzzle together has been difficult to say the least. My chest tightened up, and my stomach is uneasy as I type it all out. I know you've had emails about remembering past experiences. Never thought it would be me. Prior to the whooping incident, there was an early event that I clearly remember. It happened at Boy Scout camp on Lake Texoma. It was called Camp Grayson at the time. I can't count the number of times I ran all over that camp, daylight and dark, alone or with others. I don't remember the year, but it was an event. It was an event the weekend after summer camp. It was an initiation ceremony for the Order of the Arrow. The first night we were individually placed in an area to sleep alone. Told not to leave, not to speak, no lights. The first hour or so was fine, I was comfortable, then the fear hit me. I don't recall thinking or talking myself into being afraid. It just happened, and it was terrible. I remember hiding in my sleeping bag, getting down in the middle of it, and covering my head. When I couldn't take it anymore, I ran my fat little ass through the woods and in the dark up to the chow hall. I don't remember much after getting there, but the next result was the staff going out and pulling all the scouts into a central area where we could be watched. I joined the Army Infantry after high school. After basic training at Fort Benning, my first duty station was Fort Stewart, Georgia. We spent a lot of time in the field there, forested areas mostly, but a pretty fair amount of time in the swampy areas. I do recall a few times that I felt like I was being watched, but no wood knocks, no whoops, no feelings of fear. I developed a very good sense of situation awareness there, and my field craft became much better. Of the times I felt like I was being watched, I knew it was other soldiers. Other times I knew it wasn't. I can't explain it, but it just didn't feel right. After Fort Stewart was Germany, Desert Storm, and finally Fort Carson. I only had 2 field training exercises at Fort Carson, one down around Pueblo, and the other in the Air Force Academy training area. Not a thing happened at either place, absolutely nothing. I'm 51 now, my wife passed in December. Sorry to hear that, man. Last December 2020. I went deer hunting for the first time last year, just a management hunt on a high-fence game ranch. It was literally the shittiest buck to walk up to the feeder, but it was a fat 10-point, very symmetrical antlers, no mass at the base. Main beams were thin with short number 2s, still pretty damn tasty. I'm planning on spending more time outdoors, hunting and camping as I can. I made the decision years ago not to live my life in fear of anything or put up with the ever-increasing amount of bullshit brought on by stupid people. I do not intentionally plan on seeking the Sabe, nor do I look forward to a chance encounter. With your advice, I plan on announcing my name, intention, while I'm there and ask to be left alone. Hopefully they'll leave me alone, or at least give me a fair chance to leave if we meet. If not, I hope the bastard chokes on my balls while it's eating me. That's a funny one. It's taken 2 days to get this written, and it does make me feel better to do it. And that is good. That's the whole point of this, right? Perfect. Steve, I think we're pretty like-minded on a lot of topics. I felt like there's been something wrong for a very long time, and I don't care much for where this world is heading. The people trying to take it over, how they're trying to do it. Hopefully this thing rights itself before we reach a tipping point and can't get back to where we were. Thank you for the platform. You've helped me and thousands of others. Keep the good work and stay safe. John Hunt, Sherman, Texas. John, good luck to you, my friend, and thank you for sending that email, all right? And good for you still going out there. I love to hear about the people still going out there. You got to do it. Let's keep this ball rolling. I got to shift myself a bit. My right leg is falling asleep. I should have been pinning it with my elbow. Just give me a second here. All right, here we go. Late November 2015, hunting season. First day of rifle, firearm for deer. Me and my son and brother were hunting on private land. First day of buck season. Quad trails was the easiest way to hunt this area. But me and my son are true blue deer kickers. One will sit on the trail, the other will take a 100-yard track through some of the thickets and roughest stuff you can go through. So after about 3 hours of deer kicking, me and my son met up at the top of the hill, which overlooks 3 valleys. So me and the boy walked to the top of the highest valley we're standing on. When me and my son were tracking towards the top of the hill, we had to cut through some really thick briars, jaggers, after coming to a huge opening. We saw a giant stack of twigs intertwined all over some really big logs, which we were curious. So we climbed on top of it. And let me tell you, it was strong, real strong. And my boy said it smelled. I myself lost my sense of smell in a car accident Broke my nose up pretty bad and never got it fixed. So I lost that ability. It's fixed now, though. So while I was standing on top, I asked my boy, is there an opening? Or is it just all sealed up and solid? He walked 3/4 of the way around it, but could not get to where I thought was the opening. It was a straight down cliff with so many sticks and stuff in front of it. It was just way too tough to even check out. So me and the boy sat on top of this huge structure for quite a while. I smoked, but he did too. So we sat there enjoying a cigarette and kept asking each other what the heck this giant structure was. I was joking around and said, I bet you it was a Bigfoot. Ha ha. We giggled and laughed, doing the old yeah right, joking around. And we crawled down off the huge mound of sticks and logs, walked through the rough stuff again, and came to a really nice clearing on top of the 3 valleys that came together. Me and the boy only hunt with 12 gauge pumpkin ball. Kills deer dead first shot. 1 kill. Fire up the grill, big hole. So as we're sitting there, I kept my eye on the other side of the valley. 200 yards away or so, I've shot deer that far away with 12 gauge, no problem. So, me and the boy still joking about the Bigfoot deal. I look across the valley and out of nowhere, a black, huge blob appeared 1/4 down the hill. So I pulled my gun, 4-power scope, enough to see clear at that distance. Kept looking at it, and I seen it was hairy. So I gave the gun to my boy and said, keep that black blob in the scope until I could get my camera out of my jacket, which had a 16-power lens on it, and I could really get a good look at it and take a picture while I was at it. We don't have too many bear, especially in that area. Game lands right over the mountain, game lands right over the mountain we're on, but still 5 miles away. So I told the son, don't take your scope off of it, just in case it moves. We both never seen a wild bear, and for it being that close to us while we were talking, carrying on, and laughing, and smoking cigarettes. I heard bear is super smart and can smell things 2 miles away. I don't know, because I don't hunt bear. But nevertheless, if it was a bear, I wanted a picture of it. So my boy kept his scope on the black blob, and me having 15 pockets, flannel shirt, jacket, coveralls, hunting vest, I had a hard time finding my camera. So, my boy, being anxious, took his eyes and scope off the huge blob, turned to me and asked me, did you find it yet? No. When we both looked back, we saw a flash of black go over the mountain, about 150 yards away from where it was. We both looked at each other and had the same question. Did you see that? And how the heck did it get up and over the mountain that darn far and fast? So that was not the end of the sighting, or smell. It took us about an hour to an hour and a half just to get back to the truck. Me and the boy taking our time getting back to the truck. After seeing something, it just baffled both of us. We were walking down the quad trail, and out of nowhere, a rock comes flying right past us, stopped us in our tracks. We're both looking around, and we couldn't see anything. Now we were close enough to communicate with my other brother, who was hunting the easy trails. Got on the radio, 2-way, and asked where he was at. He said he was 100 yards away from the truck. Me and the boy were 300 yards away. So, we're so close to getting out of the woods, and pretty close to the truck. Plus, we have not seen anything, and I do mean nothing. No birds, no deer, no tracks, nothing. It was uncanny. Just weird. So me and the boy figured, after agreeing to yell out who's there, we thought we might have to be in someone's hunting spot. No answer. So as we're walking towards the truck and keep hearing twigs and limbs snapping the whole way we walked, we would stop, so would they or it, and me and the boy, a couple mosquitoes coming out. And me and the boy kept talking and asking each other the same question the whole walk down. Did you hear that? What's that smell? The boy would say. So 150 yards away from the truck, we sat and waited. Not one noise, nothing. Waited for at least an hour, smoked cigarettes, and kept asking each other what threw a rock at us. So joking about it, me and my boy said, it's a Bigfoot. We got up, got ready to go. We were done for the day. As we stood up, something big got up and took off. And I do mean big. It was making enough noise that my brother sitting down by the truck jumped on the radio and asked us, did we chase up a deer? We both said no. but me and my boy struggled to even see what the heck it was. We both could not see anything, so I joked with the boy, and we left 50 yards from the truck. As we're unloading our guns, we all three heard the strangest howls and growls that to this day cannot be replicated. My brother until this day said it's a bear. Me and my boy, we know what it was. The very next year, the private property was blocked off, and the people that owned it said, we're protecting this piece of land. And I know why. And I don't blame them. I know the thing that everybody wants to cash. I know the thing that everyone wants to cash out on if they kill it. Me? I want these guys to have their space and home where they don't have to worry about us. I believe they should be protected. So me and my brother and son went 2 miles up the road on another piece of private property the next year. And wouldn't you have guessed it? Pushed over trees on the quad trails, and me and my boy got whistles. My brother heard those too, but he said it was just a hunter. Me and my boy know. Yes, we do. So even though we never seen it, So even though we've seen it, heard it, and know the signs of them, we're not afraid. Not because we have guns in our hands or our bows, but because I have respect for the big guys. And they have their space and we have ours. We're just walking through their living room and grabbing something to eat. And if we ever have a conflict in the woods with them, I will leave. It is their house, by the way. So now we have another place 5 miles away. Wouldn't you have guessed it? Signs are there too. We have them here in PA and in populated area. If need be, I can send pictures next year. Now, since I know what we're looking at, me and the boy both agreed not to tempt them by grunting, wood knocking, or howling. We're invading their house. We are the intruders. No reason to act like them or try to harm them in any way. I just like shooting or harming something so close to humans. Second encounter. So, this is a little more than just a second encounter. Kind of rolls up all into one, due to the fact it is all in the same area and location. So me and my wife Tammy and my boy Noah, we all were in the car driving down a blocked off road, somewhere in Beaver, Pennsylvania. And we're spotting deer. Not even a quarter mile down the road, we saw 3 deer on our right side of the car. On my side, there was a straight up and hillside. So I asked my wife to give me the spotlight. As soon as I spotlighted the steep mound, I saw a set of red eyes. And for the life of me, I've never seen red eyes in my life while spotting deer, or any other time. So I asked the wife and boy, did you guys see this? And they both replied, yes. So as we're looking, which they were about 5 to 6 inches apart, mind you, they blinked and disappeared. So we drove down the road and did not spot any more deer or anything with eyes, and went down the spring, freshwater spring, and turned around. So as we're headed back up, we got near the same spot. The deer were gone. I wanted my wife to scan the light where I spotted the red eyes, and as I was driving very slowly and she was scanning, pow! Something hit the back of the car. Nothing huge, but we all heard it. And we all said, what was that? Seconds later, pow! A second thing hit the car door. This time bigger. I said to my wife and son, I know what that was. I stepped on the gas and we took off up the road, leaving the area. We all discussed it and we all agreed Bigfoot threw a rock at us. I still have the dent in the door. Occasion 2. Me, my son Noah, and my brother Tom, late November 2018, first day of buck season. We're going hunting in a place in Beaver, Pennsylvania, used to be game lands. Now nobody goes there. And we were walking up the service road. At the top of the road, we all took a good deserved break. Very steep hill. So we're standing there all discussing where we were going. And out of nowhere, a deep, guttural, and long-winded and constant growl was heard. Me and my son, we knew. My brother, a non-believer, said, who owns a lion on this hill? There was a barn 300 yards away. We knew, but we just both said that was no lion, not letting it stop us from hunting. Well hunted, we all turned on our two-way radios and went with the plan of where we discussed we all were going to sit and wait. I was the dog. I was going to do the pushing. My son was going to be on the deer, and he stayed at the top of the hill walking down over the hill on the other side and set him up in a very nice spot for his first time hunting. My brother walked the service road with me until I sent him down in a ravine which overlooked 2 valleys. My son was on the right, about 200 yards away. I proceeded to the next hill on the left of them, and there is a huge field up the top called Top of the World. That's what everyone I know call it. Pushed the field, zigzagging across everything, went down into the valley, up another hill to head towards my son. We hear on the radio, "Dad, there's a man playing peekaboo with me, and he's dressed in black." Me and my brother said, "What?" He reported himself and added, "Yeah, he's big too." I told him to hold on, I'm headed his way. He, my son, said, "Dad, he's coming towards you." I said, "Can you see me?" He said, "Yes, you're on top of the hill from me." Okay, so I stood still and waited. And my son then said, "Dad, can't you hear that? He ran right past you." I listened. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No sound. So we all met up, me and my brother and Noah. He was very upset, but he kept asking both of us, why? Why was he in black? We both agreed, don't know. After all, it is first day of buck season. You have to wear orange. Since there was nothing moving, and I mean nothing, we went somewhere else. But me and my son knew who or what that was. Other than this, there are trees pushed down over the access road, and it's way too quiet. Nothing moving there, no more. Third sighting. This is me and my wife Tammy. We both were just coming home from shopping, end of the fall, early October 2020. We're coming down a main highway in Beaver, Pennsylvania. As we're talking and having conversation, my wife and I was both looking at the cleared out section they did putting in a power line. Yes, my eyes were still paying attention to the traffic. And on my second glance, I seen a huge figure in the trees on top of the hill. I usually hunt on that hill, and as I turned my head back to the road, highway, and was just about to ask my wife, "Did you see that?" She stopped me in my asking and said, "There's something on top of the hill near the power lines." And I said, "Yes," but what I saw and what she said she saw was 2 different things, which we later discussed. What I saw was a figure about 100 yards away from what she saw, and the one I seen was, in my estimate, about at least 8 feet high and as wide as a stand-up freezer, and I mean a big 2-door giant. No way that was a human. Huge. Just huge. My wife said the one she saw on the power line had to be at least 10 feet high, and looked like a human-shaped Volkswagen Beetle standing there. I didn't see the second one, because I could only glance for a second. I was driving. But yeah, some call us crazy, and we were just seeing things, but we know for a fact there is a family of the big guys living in the caves back in the one valley no one wants to hunt. They are real, and they live in Beaver, Pennsylvania. Yes, they do. Actually, I think they're all over Pennsylvania, aren't they? You get so many emails from Pennsylvania, it's ridiculous. It's nonstop. All right, listen to this one. This is titled, "Wow, I worked with Ross Rockstad 9 years ago." Hi, Steve. My name is Rick, pronounced Trujillo. Trujillo. Rick Trujillo. Hope I got it. You may share my name. I'm 63. I'm a retired Boeing R&D engineer. For the last 25 years, I've lived in North Bend, Washington with my wife, Pam, horses and dogs. Currently with our English Bulldog, first name Luna, middle name Tick. We live on an acreage next to the thousands of acres of DNR and near Snoqualmie Pass. My wife and I have been watching your channel for a few years and subscribed. Wednesday, February 9, 2022, you released a YouTube video titled, "I Have Learned Things I Wished I Hadn't." And it was a story of Ross Rockstad. My jaw hit the floor and I almost dropped my coffee. 9 years ago, I worked with Ross at Boeing. We sat right next to each other for years. I'd been to his house near Hobart, Washington. We've now seen each other since he retired and moved to Northeast Washington State. Years before we both retired, I remember Ross mentioning to me that he's never seen a Sasquatch. I don't think I laughed at the time. I don't think I believed it at the time either. Sorry, Ross. I remember he shared the story, and then we moved on and never talked about Sasquatch again. I've always thought maybe Ross was testing the waters. Now, here we both are, over 10 years since that day, both old men now, both retired, both listening to your channel. Wow, how life can be a circle. A couple personal experiences. When we first moved to this property, one morning I found about 15 feet from the house a skinned rabbit. Everything was still intact. Head still attached, all limbs still on, and the gut had not been opened. No blood on the ground. It looked like the rabbit had been gloved, skinned, clean, except the head was still covered with fur to the neck. And there were no holes or bite marks. I never found the fur. I didn't know what to think at the time. One year, we also had a Great Dane go missing. I went looking for her in the DNR, never did find hide nor hair of her. Finally, for years, ever since the rabbit event, my wife said she has occasionally heard slapping on the side of the house. Thanks, Steve. P.S. Hey, Ross, since I know you'll be listening, give me a call. Same number. It'll be nice to connect after 9 years. Thanks again, Steve, for being the conduit. No problem. And I hope Ross gives you a call and you guys can shoot the shit and compare notes. And, Rick, the slapping on the house means the cat's out of the bag. And welcome to the club of no return. Why they slapped the house, having a clip. Why they skinned out a rabbit and left it for you, who knows. Get your attention, let you know they're there, don't know. Crazy, isn't it? It's a small world, man. This channel is making the world smaller. We've had a handful of people say they were either at that same experience or knew the person in it or whatever. There's no shortage of it, man. No shortage. I hope Ross gets a hold of you. I'm sure he will. Alright, let's see if I can read this. See, it's funny how the notes save some of these emails. Check this out. I don't know if you can see it or not, but look at how tight those sentences are. They're like, what, 4-word sentences all the way down the whole bottom? I don't know if I did that by accident or what, but I can potentially make it awkward. I don't know. We'll see. Alright. Here we go. This is titled, no title. Hey Steve, this story is Duck Hunting 2021. I've watched your show shortly after you started. Love your channel. My story, we were hunting duck in Galena, Illinois. Pool 12 area called Dead Man's Slough. We got there the day before opening season to build a duck blind. On opening day, there were 3 parties hunting the slough. In the early afternoon, the people hunting across from us left, so we moved over there for the evening hunt. It was about 4 o'clock when we heard owls hooting, but it didn't seem real. The sounds were moving really fast behind us, and then it stopped and the woods were quiet. I kept looking around, didn't see anything. Then I turned around and about 80 yards in the woods were 2 creatures standing next to each other. The first one was black with leathery gray skin. Its head was cocked to the right. Estimated height was 7 to 8 feet. The second creature was reddish tan in color. Its height was 11 plus feet. Its head was in the tree from my viewpoint. I didn't feel afraid. There was no mind speak. They just looked in my direction. The son came up to talk to me. I took my eyes off them for less than a minute, and I looked back, they were gone. I could see through the woods again after they left. Looked around for footprints, didn't see any. Follow you and Scott Carpenter, David Plottis, love your channel. Never thought I would see this, but I did. My name is Jamie Hartzell, 58 years old, been hunting these woods for 40 years now on and off. Keep up the great work you do in getting out the truth, and you can use my name. Wow. Jamie, thanks for that, man. One good thing about what you just mentioned was how many years you've been hunting, and you hadn't seen or heard shit, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're standing there looking at them, right? And we've all heard it. Especially if you're a hunter, angler, or live rurally, we've all heard that guy or that woman say, you know, I've lived here all my life, I've hunted for whatever, how many years, I've logged for how many years, I've never seen nothing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because it's not like it happens weekly, right? It doesn't happen yearly. Well, it does for some, but to most people don't see shit. I don't know how many times you heard people say, I hunted this land all my life, or I own this land 2nd generation. I hunted that hill forever. Never heard or seen nothing. And then boom, there's this thing standing right in front of you. That's how it happens. That's how it goes down. That's how you get entered That's how you get your free membership to the Club of No Return, right? Well, I got a few days of stuff I have to do, and then I'm going steelhead fishing on this river and another one. But I gotta go. I gotta go get into it, and I gotta get the main boat out and clean it up and get it ready for salmon and halibut coming up. I'm gonna share one more while I'm here. So many of them. All right, this is a different kind of title. What's this title? Might have seen one of the big guys in the background of your most recent video, and this was on January 20th, 2021. This is wrote. I don't know if this is interesting to you, but watching the video you did this afternoon, I believe standing on the bank of the river and commenting about the local paper, talking about the tradition of Sasquatch feeding along the other side of the river. During the segment, you were speaking about the lady in Florida. If you watch the background just barely at the edge of the tree line, where there are some rocks and a little snow, and just the low trees and bushes there along the bank just off your right shoulder, you'll probably notice something moving. It's not a big, massive movement, but persists for quite a while, like something watching and slightly shifting position. I can't tell you exactly how far off your right shoulder, but maybe as much as a third of the way toward the outside of the frame. Check it out if you're interested. I watched a long while, and it definitely is something going on there. I enjoy your videos. Thanks for what you're doing, and be well. All right, Deborah, thanks for that. And you're definitely not the first person to email that in to me. I get it nonstop. Does it interest me? Not really. I don't know why. You know what? I honestly don't know why. I don't know why that doesn't interest me too much. But I remember I think 2 years ago, somebody had taken a screenshot of me in Squamish, and I was looking straight 90 degrees to the camera, and they circled this thing in the back in the trees behind me, and I can see it clearly. I can see the face clearly, the eyes, the nose, the chest, the top of the head. I can see it clearly, and it's like a holy shit moment. And Sarah and I went back up the next spring after the snow allowed us to get up there, and I tried to get in the exact same position, take a picture of it. That's how much of an impact it had on me. I was like, wow, that looks freaking crazy. Other than that, it doesn't really interest me too much. Probably because I've seen these damn things, right? I know they're here. How many times have you guys seen things thrown at me now that I don't even know happen? And then that way, about 12 miles that way, was when I was sitting on the edge of that clear cut, and two things got thrown at me and made me jump up, and now I'm like, okay, I'm out of here. Right? I don't give a shit what anybody says. I don't care what you accept as real or not. When you're by yourself in the woods and something's throwing something at you, and there isn't a human being around for miles, I'm good. I'm good, I'm leaving. But anyway, time to go. The bears have got to be coming out here pretty quick. I'm gonna go. Somebody out there has something helpful, or you want to get off your chest to help you, then send it into sharemystory@howtohunt.com, all right? And we'll get to it. It's absolutely freaking amazing how many people are coming here on their own, how many people are emailing. It's just ridiculous. How is it going to end? How is this ever going to end? It's not. It's not going to end. It's funny, we were bullshitting a little while ago with a friend of mine, noting, he's asking me about the people that used to make videos about me. Non-stop. Every time I made any kind of video, they make a video about me and attack me and try to discredit me. And how he noticed how they stopped. He actually kept tabs on a few of the channels. He's saying how their channels have went flatline. Done. Lost their audience, lost their respect, or maybe possibly I pointed out all the bullshit that they were peddling to all of you non-stop, right? But either way, I don't know why that came up in my mind, but one thing I am glad about doing all this, all these emails, I guess that's what I'm getting at, is I believe that we have successfully stamped out the bullshit. I'm not I mean, I don't follow any channel. I don't follow channel. I don't have time to sit and watch YouTube. I just don't. Wish I did. But I don't have time. But I have a feeling we're successfully stomping out the bullshit that's been intentionally keeping the people to do in circles when it comes to this topic for many years, right? I have a feeling most of you people out there would agree with that. Thank God, right? I mean, enough was enough. It's like enough of you half a dozen or so idiots who somehow thought you laid claim to this topic. And for somehow you got in a position of being able to dictate what people got to share publicly or not. How embarrassing is that? But how easily did all you turn that around, right? You all turned it around. A bullshit free channel on YouTube. Who'd have thought? Yeah, and that water looks good. It drives me crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna get going. It's time to go. I'll see you guys shortly. Keep hearing coming in. Oh, probably gonna get questioned on this. Where's the email you teased us with? What is it, Sunday right now? I decided I'm gonna leave it one more day. I'm about 99.9% certain it's okay to share the email with all you, but I did reply to the gentleman to just to reconfirm that it's okay to share his email with all you out of respect. But some of the things he shared in the past, I'm quite sure it's going to be fine. But I'll give him one more day. It's a weekday tomorrow. Maybe he doesn't crack open that email till on weekdays only. I don't know. We'll see what happens tomorrow. So, tomorrow's the day I'm going to share that email with the significant information included into it from somebody I trust, without a doubt. We'll be back later. Take care. Be safe.